Hi, I'm Jack Topper. I'm a previous board member. I want to welcome you to Habitat for Humanity. Mike contacted me and he's looking for board members. And of course, the board is not a board where you just check it off on your agenda. You have to be a working member of the board. But Mike took me to an old house where some people were living at the time, and he had sandwiches in the backyard so we could see the dire straits that some of these families were in. It was horrific to see how they were living. And that's all I needed to see that Mike showed me, and then shortly after that, in 2014, I joined the board. We were building, I think, about 5 houses, 6 houses a year. It was more traditional. You had churches coming in and building, you had volunteers more. And I think, and of course, the finances were different. You had 4 different organizations you ran. You're a mortgage company, you're a store, you're a construction company, and you're a charity fundraiser. So all those are 4 different sets of books. Now, of course, it's much more intricate as the construction laws change, the requirements for housing, grant activity. All these things have made it much better in a way because we build more houses and have more opportunity, harder in a way because the cost of all these things is going up continually. Don Kirby was the first president I met, and after that Dave Picotti, Dave guided me because I was next in line to be president after David. So I watched him very carefully as he managed to get the meetings shortened up and quick. Mike Bueller, of course. Melanie Rosen was on the board with me and very active. And we went through a lot of issues at that time that we had to deal with. So, well, the time the city called us in, didn't know why. And Mike Bueller went with me. And I walked into a room of all the city executives, and I figured something was up. And they were telling us that they were no longer going to work with us in any way because they felt they had not been treated fairly. There were some issues we had to clear up to make them happy, but that was probably the low point when the city said they didn't want to work with us anymore. That's all been fixed thanks to Melanie. I think that the greatest thing we did was convince Melanie to become the director. There was a lot of chaos at that time, and we were looking at what to do, and one of the other board members came to me and said, well, I think we can talk Melanie into being the director. She was the board president. If you take the president's job to finish it up, and then we'll talk her into this. So we talked her into leaving a better paying job to take over Habitat. I don't think we had to talk to her too hard. Her heart was in it from the very beginning, and it still is. So I think that's our greatest accomplishment. Convincing Melanie to quit a good job and come with Habitat. When you talk to the people in the community, many times they have a distorted view of how Habitat for Humanity works. So many people would say, oh, you guys just give houses away. And then they also get to a very difficult issue where they say, oh, you're just giving them to all the Mexican families. Well, that's not true. We give it to any family who's willing to work for it. And they just happen to be the hardest workers we have to work for it. So that was the view, and when you tell people that they have 500 hours of work, they have to pay the closing costs, and then they have a mortgage, that changes their attitude. They didn't know that. So that's the biggest misconception, is that we just build houses for people. And the other misconception sometimes is when Habitat started, the local churches would get together and the people would build a little house. That's not possible today. There's too many requirements. You need professionals. We can have volunteers help out in certain areas, but that house has to pass a lot of inspections to even get approved for a mortgage and occupancy. So it's a different world now. Recruiting volunteers for the board, trying to find board members, that type of volunteering, or talking to friends when they say, gee, you know, I can't do much. I can't swing a hand, I can't, you know. And I said, well, you know, the smallest thing you do, little things can mean a lot. And if you think a little thing can't make a difference, spend a night in a room with a mosquito and see what happens. But you don't have to do much. The store, go help put in the lawns. There's lots of things you can do, the little things. I think, I don't know what I call it a gift, but when we were able to buy the land for the new development, Divine, which was a major step forward in building not just houses, but a whole development. And that was a gift from God. God put that in front of us, and I was there involved with the board then when we made the decision to purchase it. And I think that's a gift. And hopefully there's more housing developments like that we can do. So YakFed has been supporting us with lower interest rates, usually a point below market for our homeowners, so that we don't need to turn to grants and other things and go through a lot of red tape and rigmarole to get a property finished, a construction loan, before the people can take it over as a home ownership loan. So they streamlined that for us. It took a lot of paperwork out of getting grants for that. The smallest thing you do, little things can mean a lot. And if you think a little thing can't make a difference, spend a night in a room with a mosquito and see what happens. But you don't have to do much. The store, go help put in the lawns. There's lots of things you can do, the little things. I think the single message would be the reward you get for volunteering any amount of your time and effort to see, actually to be there when the homeowners take possession of the house, and to see the most joyful thing you're going to see is a family seeing the results of all their hard work and efforts. They get the key to the house and a Bible, and that's always been the most joyful thing for me, to be there. And when I was able to give out the keys and the Bibles, that was my favorite thing in the world to do. I would hope, of course, we see a lot more housing created over the next 40 years. And I think it's going to probably be different kind of housing than what we've been. It's been changing from the little single family fixer-upper house and the people building a house to much more professional and organized, larger. We're probably going to see maybe some condominium type things. We might see something for individuals, singles, instead of just families. I think we'll see the whole thing to be providing housing in a broader scale in many different forms.